The premise of this Warlock build is quite simple. How can I cram as much of a buffed and artifact benefiting gear into one setup, and at the same time not crutch on bolt charge as this has been done to death at this point. Also, it has to use the Titan and Glaive edge of action, because this thing's just hilarious, and if used correctly kinda broken. The result is the peak Warlock experience. Typically with build videos, the gear used in the subclass setups are listed and justified. While I will do this in a way, I want to focus more on tech synergies and seasonal boosts which play into different parts of the kit. Best place to start will be the exotics. Class items Synthoceps because stabby, and Osmiomancy, and with that the first tech. Osmiomancy casuals might think it's just for any grenade cycling, and maybe a bit better with cold snaps than any other options. Kind of like Hoyle, but dogshit. However, the Osmiomancy Giga Chads know it's only ever for cold snaps, and you need pinpoint precision to double dip and cycle grenades forever. Take a look at this. Against champion or boss targets, throwing the grenade directly at them, even though it doesn't really do anything, gives 50% grenade energy. Then the grenade tracks to them and grants another 50%. Easy infinite grenade loop. This applies to lower ranked enemies too, just at a smaller percentage returned on lower tiers. Against red bars, if you impact one directly and it goes on to freeze 3 targets, you will still get 100% return, which is easy enough in most activities. And with this loop you could even get a frosty version of the Starfire Warlock of old with demo rockets. But that's stupid, we're not doing that. Although, do run fast F commands so that whenever you freeze an enemy, it will reload your equipped weapon since freeze is always available. Where the freezing actually matters much more is used alongside the exotic weapon of choice, the Titan exclusive or X exclusive Glaive edge of action. Frozen targets take just over double damage from melees, and this does include Glaive melees. Also remember how cold snaps hit the target directly then track to them. There's a little bit of downtime between them, and this can line up perfectly with the Glaive triple hit combo. Another patch was the third hit in this combo now does double damage. So if the target gets frozen just before this, you'll be dealing double damage. Quadruple, some would say. But even if you are just block holding melee spam, the extra damage against frozen targets is always nice to have. And you also have 100% Glaive melee damage boost from Synthoceps. Also remember that every time you freeze a target, the Glaive will be reloaded. Though don't be afraid to use projectiles quite often. These also have destabilizing rounds too now, another buff this Glaive received. But the biggest buff is to how charges are required, which allows the usage of a mini bubble alt fire. Now 6 hits done in any way is the only requirement. The fastest way is holding block and melee. The safest way is just firing off a mag projectiles from afar, or you can use any combination of the above. The point being is it's really easy to get this alt fire active now. You can easily have 3 to 4 bubbles active at once, which is really helpful for blocking all your teammates' shots, and reducing FPS significantly with all the particle effects. But for real, these bubbles are actually really good. Here is everything they do, credit to Destiny Data Compendium. Basically you can dip into them for unlimited void overshield, give everyone a stacking 5% weapon damage boost, and get boosted weapon stats while inside them. However, most importantly for this build, you can use them to force a cage match against any enemy, and it's one in which you are very heavily favoured to win. Also join my Discord. Maybe I won't leave a dim link in this video and exclusively post it there to blackmail people. We shall see. However, I did say this video was going to focus on techs, so here's a good one, using the edge of action. The bubble does give replenishing overshields and all the other stuff, but it's kind of limiting since it can't really be shot out of. Except it can. If the bubble is destroyed, the effects it has will still linger in the original location for its full max duration. So you can place a bubble, destroy it yourself and then stand where he once stood, for casual immortality and damage boosts. If you want a really extra way of doing this, you can place a bubble on top of a target, dive into a bubble, throw a Nova Bomb to nuke the enemies and the bubble itself, then fire away. I've ran master sectors with this and the amount you can tank is truly ridiculous. Also don't forget you can still glaive block if for whatever reason you want more resistance. So the glaive, Osmiomancy and Synthoceps are naturally a great trio. But since Synthoceps are used, surely Lightning Surge is the aspect to purpose. I'm sure you've all seen how good this combo can be, but please just do not do this. Why? I think it's just because in my opinion Arcane Needle is simply the better melee option. It does less damage on impact, but the Unravel is too good. It can also be cast at range and will provide radiant due to Facet of Dawn. Also, the Unravel effect is great for building Dark Transcendent energy. Lightning Surge will just be more light. Finally, Horde Shuttle. This artifact mod causes any unravelled enemy to periodically spawn Threadlings. Extra passive damage which will add up over time, especially if used on champion or boss targets. And also, not using Lightning Surge is most important because of this obvious reason. You now have an extra aspect slot to work with. Feed the Void will be used because, just of course it will. Devour with an aggressive build like this is incredibly valuable, and the second aspect should instead be Hellion. The idea here is having as many ticking damage sources going on at once. You can unravel targets, you can freeze them, you can also scorch and ignite, which just adds so much damage over time. And this huge amount of tick damage sources is incredible for building transcendent energy quickly, and is very low effort. This is really what Prismatic is all about. And it does make your class ability not feel useless, that's kind of nice too. Okay, so that's aspects, supers, abilities, and a few fragments covered. Here's the other weapons. Kinetic slot, I really liked Nash's Mastery, which is not really shocking to anybody, but it does fit perfectly here. Facet of Command will ensure the mag is topped off whenever it freezes targets with chill clip, meaning unlimited chills. Like the Cold Snap Grenade, you can even freeze the targets with Tenacious, then stab them with the Glaive. And it single-handedly deals with all champions with its artifact anti-barrier and slow or freeze for the other types. You could use any chill clip weapon here, Deliverance is pretty good, Double Glaive is not really that good, so no rake angles. Heavy slot Corrective Measure is just perfect. It does so much more than you may originally think about. Overload machine guns instantly apply exhaust to any target hit, which reduces their outgoing damage, which is nice enough. But with Artifact mod Elemental Supercharger, any exhausted target defeated will grant extra super energy as long as its element matches the super, which this one does. Also, the Time Lost Origin trait gives extra super on top of this with every enemy defeated. The result is a lot of Nova Bombs. And on cast, these Novas would double the mag size of Corrective Measure, and with another Artifact mod Legend Incarnate, will grant it 10% extra damage for 20 seconds with each super popped. But that's not even close to all of it. We're going to go deep into the mod rabbit hole here. Another column 5 option, Heavy Ordnance Regeneration, has gone kind of under the radar for quite how busted it is. If you hit 8 whole LMG shots, which is laughably easy, you get the following benefits. 25% damage resist for 15 seconds, and 85% increased regen for both grenade and melee for 9 seconds. Perfect for ability spamming, especially while transcendent, and for those times where you miss the direct impact Cold Snap, which happens to the best of us. And of course there's still the obvious combination. Corrective Measure is Void, so run Volatile Marksman and Maligned Harvest. Grant volatile rounds on repeated precision hits, and weaken on repeated volatile explosions. Both completely passive and both extremely easy to activate on the LMG archetype. Also, the boosted Volatile Marksman grants class ability energy too. It's very easy to maintain 100% Hellion uptime with this. The only downside to LMGs is a reload and not a fantastic single target DPS. Reload doesn't matter at all. Throw a grenade, instant reload, easy enough. A single target DPS is also actually not that big of an issue. Remember, there's parts of this build which all do damage over time, and this adds plenty. It's more like a death by 1,000 cuts rather than just one weapon's damage. Plus you have Nova Bomb. The role I have on Corrective Measure is destabilising rounds and one for all, but use whatever you like. The weapon pick pool for this one is actually all bangers. Alternatively, use Commemoration. And while I'm on artifact mods, it's probably about time I got this covered. Maybe should have included this earlier as it is pretty critical as to why I chose a glaive, but consider this extra information for those still watching. No Bell is laughably busted. Block any damage of a glaive and you get a huge 85% melee damage boost for 6 seconds. This does stack on top of the up to quintuple glaive melee damage possible by other build options. And also, if you get repeated glaive melee hits, projectile ammo is granted for free, so these shots can be spammed a lot. They ain't even too bad damage wise. The DPS of glaive projectiles is around on par with fusion rifles. The other glaive booster is Hold the Line. Glaive melee kills restore health when surrounded, as well as granting increased handling plus stability. And all of these listed benefits also apply to machine guns. You see, there really was a reason why I wanted Corrective Measure. If you just want a visual on which mods to slot because there's a whole bunch of them, here it is. Feel free to just copy this and everything will fall into place just nicely. And finally, armor mods. Honestly, at this point, who really cares? It's Void Surges because you have double Void weapons, Heavy Ammo Finder because heavy ammo economy kinda sucks, and then load up on ability cycling options and orb generation because that's the only downside glaives currently have. Again, I'll put on screen what I'm currently running, just kinda copy this. Same with the remaining fragments. And before I leave, I will leave you with this. If you want a similar build, but with a new brand of spicy, try out the following. Swap out the kinetic and energy slot weapons to this. Break Angle of Chill Clip and Icebreaker. I'm sure you can probably see the vision here, and it is actually peak. Okay, goodbye.